Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for Cash Tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Thank you.
All right. So, hey, I'm flying out of O'Hare Airport on Saturday. Are the airports going to be empty, Andy? Because if you look at the stock prices on some of these airlines, it seems like nobody's traveling, but I don't believe that for a second.
No, I think travel volumes are pretty good. The one thing that's starting to hurt is pricing power of some of these airlines. This is something that we warned about. I think 3-4 months ago, we were one of the lone voices talking about a potential pullback in travel. I think that that's somewhat come to fruition, at least in the stock prices of some of these airlines. And now we're at the point where you're on a nearly 30% haircut for some of these over the last little bit. Now it's starting to become a pretty compelling value proposition. And I think especially Delta Airlines, ticker symbol DAL, all of our data, while, somewhat negative on a year-over-year basis, which is something we've been talking about for a while, is definitely showing improvement or competitive advantages over all of the other airlines. Delta's change in web visits is down less than 10% year over year, whereas their competitors, American, United, are down 10%, and Southwest just absolutely getting crushed. And look, I think Delta, as best of breed, has been established at this point. I think this is the best executing airline. This is the airline that people like to fly the most, that they're willing to pay premium prices to get on. And an airline that has done a very good job of monetizing their customers the best. So on this pullback, which is significant, we're finally starting to change our tune and say, this could be the time to start dipping your toe into Delta specifically. I don't like the other airlines. I don't like the sector, but I think Delta is clearly the one to beat here, and in the next travel leg up, we'll have a huge advantage over the competition.
Andy, everyone remembers that Ed Bastian came on and talked about some softness to start the year, and that's when they started to kill these airlines. Yeah. What they don't remember from that comment is that he didn't change his full year guidance. He kept all the full year numbers, but he changed it on a very short-term basis. And TSA data is not backing off at all. And oh, by the way, crude oil prices down 15%. That is a windfall to airlines in terms of their expenses. So the fact that they've sold this thing off, my 3-month number is 37%, is what I'm reading. When airlines are volatile stocks to trade in normal markets, but this can fire significantly from where it is. It looks like a lot of things. Like I said, I think the guidance is going to be critical for how he sees the next quarter and the end of the year and how they move those numbers. Sure, they're going to talk about short-term weakness, but the TSA numbers, Andy, aren't showing it.
No, they're not. And, I think that you just kind of presented the case that Delta executives will present on their earnings call, and that is, look, we don't know. The global economy, et cetera, is in a little bit of volatile period right now. But how much do we think tariffs are going to impact our business? Essentially, you have to be expecting a real recession if you think this is going to impact overall travel trends. And so Delta, I think, is clearly put itself in the driver's seat. They're the best of all the airlines at doing the one thing that people want airlines to do. Number one, that is get me A to B on time most of the time. Delta is very good at that. The other thing Delta is very good at is providing a premium experience that the client, the customer, can pay up for. And they're doing that. Southwest is so far behind, still has people getting on and picking out their own seat while they're trying to figure out how to board an airplane. Whereas Delta's monetizing almost every seat on the aircraft. And so, best of breed. I agree with you, Kevin. I think that the overall travel trends are pretty good. And with oil down where it is, that's pretty much straight to the bottom line, that savings.
Yeah.
And so I agree completely with you.
Andy, when you look at this compared to the other ones, we all know that Delta has the best balance sheet out there. CEO Ed Bastian came out just over a month ago at that JPM Industrials Conference and lowered this quarter's EPS and revenue guidance based on softening demand from consumers. We've seen the confidence and sentiment data numbers on here, and this is the best run airline. They can still cut full year 2025. But when you look at this compared to the competitors, when you guys are looking at your data, this is still probably the top out of all of them, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think, at this point, with shares down over a third in the last 3 months, you pretty much got to say it sounds like the market has already priced in a 2025 full year revision lower. I don't think that that'll be any shock if they come out and say, look, things might be soft for a little while. I think the market's already anticipated that. If anything, you might get a relief rally if it's not demonstratively lower. So I think they're in a pretty good spot. If we get any further downside, then I think this is one of those stocks that I wouldn't mind absolutely loading up on for the short term or for the long term. I think short term, it'll be extremely volatile, and you have to be willing to take that short term risk and volatility for the next at least 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, you wonder what their guidance is going to be. Do they cut the full fiscal year 2025? Or, hey, we're going into summer travel season. Are people booking ahead of time? So they'll give us some data on that. And the impact of those lower fuel costs also will come into play. All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Andy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, that's Andy Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking it down for us. Kevin, I mean, as much as these stocks rallied into the last 3 or 4 months of 2024, they've given up all those gains and then some in this type of environment. But I kind of get what's going on. As you mentioned, airlines are always highly volatile. The stocks are, even though they've got low PE ratios, single digits for some of these names. But at the same time, consumer confidence sentiment data has been really weak. It just has to be one of those things where people look at this and go, well, maybe I want to take some upside exposure,